Good morning, good morning, good morning, community. How are you? Let's see. Oh, Janine Macklin here, transformational speaker, wealth guide and catalyst. Good afternoon to my East Coast family. How are you? How's the weather back there? We shifted into a little bit of fall, but I'm sure it'll be hot here again. So I was driving around. Let me say, I'm Janine Macklin, transformational speaker, wealth guide and catalyst. And I was driving around trying to see what would I talk to you about today as it related to money or to Monday and being mindful. And then I was sitting in the car and I thought, oh, I'm going to talk to you about what's going on for me right now. And what came out of that was to remind you that this is one thing that you can always count on. And it's probably something that you may not think about that much, but we all hold it in the back of our mind. I don't think there's a way for us not to hold this particular conversation in the back of our mind, particularly if you have equipment that you have to maintain. Now, I'm particularly talking about my car, but the bottom line is there will always be things that are going to come up that you're not expecting. So when I say there's this one thing you can count on, is you can count on the unexpected. So it started some time ago. I was driving my car in from Los Angeles to Pasadena. I don't know, 45-minute drive depending on traffic. I didn't plan this, so I'm trying to see where you'll see me best with the sun. And the engine started revving, and it kept revving and revving and revving and revving. So I was like, okay. Then as we kept driving, though, I couldn't get it to go past 35 miles per hour. So now this is my son and I, and we're coming in at like 8:45, 9 o'clock at night. Our freeways are just fast and furious, so to speak. And I'm pushing on the gas, and the car won't go any faster. So I took it in one day last week for them to look at. They said nothing's going on. I'm like, okay, I'm not imagining it. And don't ignore me because I'm a female. So then I kept driving it again, happened again, so I took it in again. Hopefully you can hear this because I realized the volume was down low. So I took it in. I left it in over the weekend on Friday. And I was Ubering a lot of places. I had to see a client, so I flew to San Francisco to see one of my clients for the weekend and came back. And I didn't have a car, so I Ubered home, Ubered my son to school this morning, and then Ubered to the bank. I just had the guy just kept changing the locations and updating the trip. Then I had him Uber me over to pick up the car. But before I got there, I called and I was like, okay, what did you guys find out? And they're like, nothing. So now I'm completely disappointed. I'm so disappointed. Because I know there was something that we were experiencing. My son and I, we were driving in. And to me, if I'm pushing on the gas and it won't go past a certain number, we couldn't get past 30 in a car that can go to 180, then to me, something's wrong with my transmission. I've blown out a transmission before in my Honda. But they're saying no, no, no. So I did pick the car up, and I wished the Uber driver well, gave him a great tip because he did just drive me from place to place. Last night I had an Uber driver to take me out to pick up my son, and we were waiting, and I guess he got anxious because we were waiting, and I didn't mind him waiting. I was going to pay him for his wait. And so when my son finally said, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes, he's like, oh, well, I guess you might as well get out and then wait for another car. So I politely got out and waited on another car. But I'm still nervous because I don't know if Uber just drives all the time. Are there always Uber people out on the road? Luckily enough, I don't need to say luck because I put everything in God's hand. I did put the number in, and the guy came, and I said to him from the beginning, I'm waiting on someone. You can run the tab if you want. I will pay you. But if not, then keep on going. So he did wait. But what I'm bringing to your attention is all of the different shifts and changes I had to go through because my car went into the shop. So I'm running Uber. Really, I become an Uber rider. I'm running Uber to be able to fill in the gaps. So what would happen for you right now in this moment if your car stopped? For those of you who are driving, what would happen for you in this moment if the car that you do have stopped working, you had to put it in the shop, and it required anywhere from minimum to extensive repairs? What would that mean for you? You can always count on the fact that something will come up. That's the one thing. Something's going to come up. You can count on it. That's not a false belief. That's not an inherited belief. That's not even a historical belief. I know I talk about a lot of beliefs in the programs and the training. That's just the reality of life. Last month, it was my plumbing. Then I came in last night and I turned the light on in the kitchen and it came on. Then it went off. Then it came back on again. I'm like, okay, is this the poltergeist or something? And I'm like, don't tell me there's something wrong with electricity now. So I own property. I own my car. I try to own everything so I'm not, carrying a lot. But there will always be something that's going to come up that if you haven't prepared for it, then it begins to create a great deal of stress for you. So my question to you next is, what have you prepared for yourself in handling hashtag things when they come up? Unexpected things, it's going to come up. Now, maybe you're on the subway. Maybe you're moving back and forth on the subway. Maybe you're up north on the BART. Maybe you're on the East Coast. I don't know what you call it, so I'll just say on the subway. But what happens if the plumbing backs up in your place? What happens if, and plumbing's pretty big, because then they say we have to change this or change that. All the unexpected things that we call them unexpected, how are you planning for them? Things will come up. Your child may get sick, something may be necessary or needed at school, there's a trip here, and these are necessities. These aren't just fun things that are coming up. My car, I need my car to drive. I gave my other car to my godson, so I'm down to one car. And I have a young man that still has 2 more years in high school. So those things will come up. The question is, what have you put in place? So you're not going around nervous, frustrated, mad, and worried because something came up and you weren't able to address it in a way that let you feel comfortable, in a way that gave you choices and options or gave you solutions. What do you have in place? And it's just something for you to begin to think about. I like the fact that I've landed on, I think, Mindful Monday. To be mindful. With money, there's a tendency to live right in the present moment. But savings are about for the future. Emergency funds are about for the unexpected things. So when we're talking about money, it's not just money for today. We have to create a long-range plan with our money for things that may come up that's unexpected. A family member can make their transition, or you may say they pass, and you've got to go to a family service. I want to say memorial, but most of you guys say a funeral or a memorial, and you may have to fly or you have to take a bus. Where's the money for you to be able to put yourself in those kind of positions with grace and ease? So as much as you may, you know it. I know we all walk around with this sense that, okay, something could come up, so how are you going to be prepared for it? But more importantly, I want you to really think that things can come up and begin to look around you. Just, look around in your life and in your world. Look at your primary relationships. Look at yourself. Look at your health. Health will take all your money. Look at your relationships, family and children. And then look at your spirituality. Those of you who are tithing consistently to a church, you're 10%, or maybe you're tithing in a different way. It doesn't have to be to a church. It has to be to whatever is giving you nourishment and fulfillment. Let's see, your health, your relationship, your church, and then look at your finances and just see in those different areas, what do you have in place for when something comes up? Because you can bet on it. And if you're the kind of person to say, I don't bet, that's fine. You can count on it that something's going to come up. And I want you now to begin to look at what that's going to mean, how you would address it, what do you have in place? Because see, it's just me. I don't have a whole lot of, I do have some friends with money that I can say, hey, I need what, $5,000, $6,000, but I wouldn't do that. It's on me to take care of myself and my household and my son. So on you, who are you supposed to be taking care of? Who's depending on you? And in what other ways can you create some comfort for you so when things come up, you don't find yourself frustrated, worried, and then again, a higher degree of anxiety kicks in, because you're already living with some degree of anxiety. Now even more anxiety kicks in to say, now what do I do next? It was fine for me to put the car there on Friday, and then I had a driver take me to the airport. My client had a driver pick me up and all of that. Then when I got back home, I could do Uber. But you may not have that business kind of strategy right now or have the resources in your savings or emergency fund. And so that's why I want you to really look at being mindful. What amount of money? And it's not the amount, it's the action. But what amount of money are you willing to begin to set aside somewhere that you will not touch so that you gradually begin to create your savings or emergency fund because Janine told you, things are going to come up. It cuts down on your stress, cuts down on your anxiety, cuts down on your worry. If you begin to ask yourself, what can I set aside? I've always said it could be $1, it could be $2, because you can build on those dollars. All that change that you may not want to keep, put it in a bottle or a jar somewhere. Do it on a regular basis. And then you take it to the vendors or to the bank, and then they say, oh, you've got $50 here. Now you've got something to start your savings. What can you do? Where can you begin to set up some different actions, behaviors, and thinking around being prepared for what's going to come up? So they gave me my car back. They said there wasn't anything wrong with the transmission. I don't believe it because I know I was on the freeway and it wouldn't go past 30 miles an hour and the engine was revving. So I think I'll leave it around town and use it for that. And then I'm looking at purchasing me another car. I've got a child that I've got to move for at least 2.5 more years. And I don't necessarily need to do it in that car because my other car is really, really big. So you think for yourself. I'm telling you, guaranteed, things are going to come up. What do you have in place to relieve yourself of additional stress and worry and anxiety in addressing when things come up? And I just gave you one suggestion. Do something with all that change. Like you used to keep it and give it to the kids, keep your change and give it to yourself. But how can you begin to have at least 10, 20, 100, 500, and for other people, 1,000 to 3,000 to 8,000, 9,000 in your account, savings account, emergency fund, so that when things come up, you can continue to go ahead and do what you need to do in life and not be in stress, anxiety, and worry and fear. And instead move toward your goal of being money confident, money freedom, living in wealth and in fulfillment and in your life and in your business. If you're new here, please put hashtag I'm new. If you are gathering with me here on a regular basis, put hashtag replay. And then let me hear your comments. Let me hear if this was helpful to you. And any other things that you'd like more information on. And you will find me soon at www.JanineMacklin.com. We're just wrapping up the website, and that's where we'll be able to stay in contact. And let me let you know, as of tomorrow, October 1st, I am opening up, revitalizing my group on Facebook, Money and Wealth Mastery. So I will be moving there. That's where you'll see a lot more of me. We'll have the classes in there, the trainings in there. So go over to Money and Wealth Mastery. Put your name in. You have to get approved to come into the group, but that's where we're going to be hanging out. I'd love to see you there. Take good care. Bye for now.